Well, hello, Bob. So glad that you could join us today. We are so pleased to have Bob O'Connor with Weld Food Bank here. My name is Sarah Reynolds, and I'm the with Colorado Oil and Gas Association. I'm joined by Dan Haley, also with COGA, and we're just thrilled that you're taking a few minutes to talk to us today about Weld Food Bank, some of the work you've done in the past year, as well as some work that you're expecting for the coming year. So thanks so much, Bob.
My pleasure, Sarah.
Great. Well, I wanted to start with probably one of the more obvious questions. I think for so many of us, one of the more lasting images from the past year have been those photos from food banks across the country and just the lines of cars and the sheer number of people who were seeking support. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looked like in Weld County?
Sure. And, unfortunately, it's not all that much difference. We took a look when COVID first hit in March and then looked at the end of December, and we distributed 448,000 food packages, which is a 90% increase over the prior year at the same time. And the two distributions that really stick out in my mind is the one right before Thanksgiving on that Wednesday. We partnered with School District 6, knowing the kids were out of school and wanted to make sure they had enough food in the house. So we went up to the school district and we brought 2 trucks worth of food, and it wasn't 10 minutes into the distribution and my drivers called and said, you better bring more food. We're going to run out. We already gave you 18 pallets. So, we went back and forth for the entire afternoon. And when it was over, we served over 3,000 people. The lines of cars were just unbelievable. But the one that really impacted me the most was our distribution prior to Christmas, the week before on a Saturday. We opened up at 9 a.m. and by 6 a.m. in the morning, people were lining up. The line of cars was well over a mile long. It was just incredible. When I drove up, I had to stop and pull off to the side and say, uh-oh, this just can't be real. Look at all of this. But, we knew it would be a busy day, but we didn't expect that many people. By the end of the 4-hour distribution, we distributed to about 850 people. It was just something that we had never ever seen before, and we virtually didn't expect that. But I told you about some lines of cars, but what really impacted me the most that day was an individual, a young man, probably in his mid-30s, who pulled up to our certification staff and told them that he needed the food and he had 2 children at home, and he didn't bring his kids with him. Why? Well, because he didn't want them to see daddy needing something that he didn't he didn't want them to see that daddy was asking for food. He didn't want them to worry. He didn't want them to think that his dad couldn't take care of him. And I stumble a little bit when I tell this because it was really impactful. And so when our volunteers brought out the food to him, he looked at all the food, and there was turkeys and there was pork, there was all kinds of vegetables. This guy started to cry. And he looked at our volunteers and said, for the first time in quite some time, I really think I'm okay and my family will be okay. So, that's why we do what we do, Sarah and Dan, is those types of stories and that kind of impact on people's lives.
Well, Bob, thanks for sharing that story. Clearly, hunger and food insecurity are huge issues, and access to food is truly a basic human need. So when families like the one you described, when families are struggling with basic needs like this, how does that impact other areas of their life?
Well, Dan, I go back to when I was only here a couple of years, a gentleman said to me, when you are hungry and you don't have food and you don't know where your next meal is coming from, it's all you think about. It just totally dominates your thought process, because until you can take care of that, you can't take care of the rest of your life. So, what we do here is we stabilize people's lives. So by taking care of that first basic need, food, they have the opportunity, and they'll save some money by coming here. Maybe they can pay their utility bill. Maybe they can put some money aside to pay their rent so that they can continue to stay in their home. We do a backpack program with food for the kids in the school districts that the schools give out on a Friday afternoon. So the to kids that they believe are going to be struggling for food over the weekend. And so when we went back to school, we heard the teachers telling us that children were taking food out of the other kids' backpacks. And so when they asked those kids why they were doing that, not only did they say they knew they didn't have enough food in the house to take care of them, they were more worried about their younger siblings. And so we know that these kids are being impacted. And we also know that when you're not eating right as a child, it's going to impact your ability to learn in school. And the teachers tell us over and over that if these children come in hungry, it just doesn't impact their ability to learn. It's also impacting their behavior. They see kids acting out because they're not eating properly at home. It's disrupting not only their own chance to learn, but it's disrupting other kids who are around them as well. One of the things you don't think about much about, food insecurity is the impact on health. So we looked at a study and it showed that if you are struggling with food insecurity, that you are probably paying up to 121% more in healthcare costs than an individual who is food stable. That's why we pride ourselves in the amount, not just giving out food. We gave out 16 million pounds of food last year, but 10 million pounds of that was perishables, meat, produce, and dairy. So we pride ourselves in not just giving out food to people, but giving healthy food that will, again, stabilize their life, stabilize their health. We want people to leave here with the same type of things we will leave from our grocery chain when we go shopping. We want them to be healthy.
Bob, I imagine the demand for these programs will continue this year, and we're seeing some hope on the horizon with our pandemic, and certainly that will emerge out of that in the coming year. But what do you expect some of the longer term impacts on Weld Food Bank?
Well, we've been talking about that a lot lately, and we realize that we're in a marathon. We're not in a sprint. When this started in March, we thought, okay, this is not going to go on all that long. We'll be okay. In the winter, we'll be fine. Now we have a trailer outside. Everything is being distributed outside in the street. So we know this is going to continue for quite some time to come. We also know from history, going back to the 2007 recession, that when you turn on the TV and you see the charts and the graphs from the economists showing that, yeah, we're coming out of recession, it's all good, we're done. We know that's not the case for the people that were impacted by it. Most of the people that come in here are working class people. They just run out of a little bit of money at the end of the month, or they find something that happens, such as healthcare costs that they weren't expecting. So when you add the COVID relief to it and to stabilizing their lives, where they not only lost income, but they've had to dive into their life savings to keep going, you got the perfect storm. So we understand that this is going to continue for quite some time. And when everybody says, yeah, we're okay, the vaccines are done, everything's fine, those people that have been impacted and struggling from this, that lost their jobs, this is going to go on for quite some time. And that's what we're preparing for here at the Weld Food Bank.
Well, Bob, we are so happy to be partnering with you all this year. We know that 2021 is still going to be a tough year for so many families, and we're just so grateful for the support that Weld Food Bank provides in the community. And we're just delighted that we can be a partner with you this year. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your stories. And we just look forward to staying in touch in the next year and seeing how you just continue to succeed and meet the needs in our community. Thanks again.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And know how much we appreciate you. Everything that we're able to do is because of community supporters just like yourself.